All right, before we get started, I'd like to introduce Bill. He has been a member here at St. Benedict's for quite some time, and he's one of the kind gentlemen that lets us come in and use this facility. So thank you, Bill.
Thank you. On behalf of our pastor, Father Paul Flood, and the parishioners of St. Benedict's Church, we'd like to welcome you all here tonight. It's our honor to host this event. This Taylor Lodge is available for functions. There are pamphlets on the back counter over there and also on the sign-in table. So if you're interested in using this for a wedding, a bar mitzvah, graduation, or any kind of party, it's a great spot. So thanks again.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Judy LaFave. I'm president of the Johns Creek Community Association. This is our candidate forum for the 2015 candidate race. We have representatives for 3 different seats that are running. Mr. Gray will not be here this evening since he's running unopposed and had business out of town. So I've also got my board member, Kathleen Field, who will moderate for us this evening. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank my board for all of their hard work and help to make this happen. As we go through the questions tonight, they're all in a hat. We came up with them. We cut them up. Many of you may have submitted them. We put them together if they kind of repeated. So that's where we're going with that tonight. As we get into the evening, if things move along well, then we will take questions that you may have that you haven't heard answered this evening. Mr. Bradbury in the back has note cards, and we have pens to write them. So I actually have the first question for all the candidates. By show of hand, how many pledge that you or parts of your campaign, people, volunteers, will have all of your signs removed within a week of the campaign end? Good. Great. Let's go ahead with that and call Kathy up so she can get this question and answer started.
Well, good evening, everyone. Before we start, I just want to comment that good government really depends on engaged, enthusiastic candidates to run, as well as an informed citizenry electorate. And so I want to thank all the candidates for putting themselves out. I know it's tough to run, for throwing your hat into the ring. I admire you all for doing that. I want to thank you. And I also do want to thank the audience for giving up your time tonight to come to be informed, to hear from the candidates. And so thank you to all of you. The rules for tonight are fairly minimum. We're going to start, and I'm going to ask each candidate to, in 2 minutes, give us a brief introduction of yourself and also tell us why you're running. And we'll go through and ask that question of everyone. We will then, after that, I have the infamous hat here, and I will draw out questions, and it really will be the luck of the draw or the bad luck of the draw, whatever, in terms of the questions that you get. Each question, you will be allowed 2 minutes to answer. David is in the front over here, and he has colored paper that will show 30 seconds, 15 seconds left, and then gently remind you to stop. And we do have a significant number of questions here, most of which came from the community. However, as Judy mentioned, we are passing around cards, and so at the end of the session, if we have time, we will certainly entertain questions on those cards. It's 6:45 now, and our aim is to be out of here no later than 9 o'clock. Does that work for everyone? Okay, with that, we're going to start with Todd Burkhalter, and you will introduce yourself and tell us why you're running. And we're going to play pass the mic. So.
Thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate you all taking the time to learn about each of us. My wife, Jackie, and I are busy in the community. We're active here. We both work raise our families here. In fact, I've been in this community now doing business for the last 20 years. Next month will be 20 years. And when I think about why I'm running, it goes back much earlier than this. It goes back to my childhood. And when I was in the 4th grade, I grew up in DeKalb County, and my family moved us from one side of DeKalb County to the other. They moved us into the Reedam High School District. I don't know if any of y'all know that area or not. But at that point in time, they were searching for good schools, good community, good neighborhoods, and we found it. However, over time, that community, with I would suggest, a total lack of vision, a lack of leadership, it just kind of dissipated. It never really captured what it fully could have been. And so, I believe we're at a tipping point here in Johns Creek that we need to be very vigilant about creating the community that we desire. And the community that I desire is one where my kids can come back to, that they want to come back to, that it's safe for them to come back to. And so I guess I'm asking you all to partner with me and help me cast the vision for what we're trying to create here. Let's make the steps, let's do the proper logical things to get us to where we have a community that we all want to live, work, and play in. So I'm asking you to cast your vote in both the general and special elections for myself so that we get there. Thanks again for coming tonight.
Hi there, I'm Chris Coughlin. I'm in post 2, both the special election and the general election. My wife and I moved here in 2009 to start our family, and then fast forward the tape, we have a 3-year-old son and a newborn daughter. We attend North Point Community Church, and then by education and trade, I am a statistician and scientist. So the reason I'm running, particularly, is to make Johns Creek government the most efficient and effective entity it can be. I truly want us to be the exception, as they say. So to get fiscal accountability and traffic relief, I can have a platform of 5 different things. First is the surplus. We've accrued $54 million since incorporation. I'd like to allocate $50 million of that to traffic relief and parkland acquisition, and then keep $4 to $6 million in a rainy day fund. Just to put the opportunity cost that the surplus cost us, if we would put that in a market portfolio, even just a conservative one, that money would be $75 million. So you could argue that it has cost us $20 million by overtaxing and retaining that surplus. Second, I'd like to balance the budget through property tax decreases by 20 to 25%. We've had 2 property tax increases in a row, and I'd really like to break that trend. Third is wasteful spending. I've identified through cost-benefit analyses and cost utilization analyses about $5 to $6 million, or about 10% of the budget, that we could renegotiate or cut without impacting service levels. No police, no fire, nothing would be impacted. So the fourth thing is I'd like to oppose the district and any high-density housing. And then the final thing is the business tax model. We tax on gross revenues, which is not conducive to any businesses, really. And so I'd like to convert that to a net income tax model and to support our current businesses and attract new businesses. So thank you for your time. Again, it's the general election and special election post 2.
Thank you. First, thank you so much for coming out tonight. I think something that's very important in Johns Creek is that people get out and get involved. And I'm very enthused. There are more people here than I thought were going to be here. And thanks very much. And thanks to JCCA for having this. And thanks to St. Benedict's for, again, hosting it. They're great community partners. My name is Patty Hansen. I am running for the special election post 2. That is a 7-week term. The biggest question I have is, why are you not running for a longer term? The reason I'm not running for a longer term is I know how much work it takes to be a good council member. I was chief of staff in the city for 8 years. I worked with every council member that's ever sat on those seats. And it is so much more than just sitting there. You have to almost be owned by it for 2 years or 4 years, 2 years or 4 years. And I chose not to do that. I left the city in March, and I'm choosing to spend some time with my family for a bit. However, when I left the city, I left wholly disappointed in the fact that the city council chose not to have a special election. There are lots of ways you can express your disappointment. I think it was a mistake. I don't think it was devious, but it was a mistake. They did not have the charter in front of them when they made the decision. I think they should have called for it. I think they have done many good things since then, but I think that there's been a deficit not having those two people on council. I think the fact that this city, for only 4 of 24 months, had full council representation. I want to bring that to people's attention by running, by doing what you do in a democracy. Not by suing for voters' rights, not for standing in front of council and ranting and raving, but by running for office. And I would like you to vote for me because community involvement is important. We need to support the council. We need to question the council. But more than anything else, we need to support good, open debate and representation. Thank you.
Well, good evening. My name is Jay Lin. I'm running for Post 2, the 4-year term. My wife and I, we've been living in Johns Creek area for the last 14 years. And both of my children graduated from Northview High School. This is our home. We love the city and we love our neighbors. I'm a first-generation immigrant, and I'm very grateful what this country has given me. I have first-hand experience to experience the freedom and liberty, and I just love to take this stage of my life to serve, enter the public service, and I work very hard for our campaign, and I'm sure that I've engaged a lot of you. I've personally gone through about 1,800 households and talked to over 1,000 voters in our city. I will work as hard as your city council as I'm working the campaign. And I pledge myself to be the bridge, to communicate, to be the bridge between the voters' voice, and I'll bring voters' voice to the city and bring the issues to the voters. And I'm looking for your support. Again, Post 2, the 4-year term, Jay Lin.
Let me grab that. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Arun Misra. I was born many years ago in India. I've lived in Atlanta for 35 years and in Johns Creek for about 20 years. My wife retired 2 years ago after 26 years of service to Fulton County at the Spruill Library. We have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. I taught universities and colleges for 20 years between 1964 and 84, teaching microbiology and genetic engineering. And last 30 years, I have been selling insurance and real estate. I'm retired. I do not have to have a day job like many other people to make a living. I will make more commitment, full commitment to the job of City Council. And my platform is, I have seen that there are so many minorities with a lot of talent and a lot of money who do not participate in the city life or city government. I want to involve minorities in city life. I want to have our city a post office and a zip code so that we don't have to depend on the zip codes for Duluth and Alpharetta and Cumming and Sewanee. We should have a zip code for Johns Creek and our own post office. The city is not very business friendly, which you will hear again and again. And we need to make our city more business friendly, have a city center, have a mall or whatever we can do to attract more businesses for bigger tax base so that the taxes for residents is lower. We all talk about traffic, and traffic should be improved. There are fewer parks, and the city should be more business friendly. Thank you.
My name is Carlos. I'm running also for Post 2. I have not lived in the city for 30 years or 25 years. I have only lived here for 3. But Johns Creek is our home to my beautiful wife and kids. They go to Barnwell. The reason I'm running is this country has been very good to me. And I'm now in a position where I can give back. And I think it's good karma to give back. And that's basically what I want to do. I want to serve you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, JCCA, for hosting us here. I'm Nazira. I was born in a very small community where girls were not really educated much beyond 5th grade. It was just the cultural thing or the traditional thing that happened in the community. But throughout my life, I've beaten the odds. I believed in education so much that I fought for my education, completed my high school, went on a hunger strike to get into med school. I finished my med school. I had strong determination. I realized there was a bridge, there was a gap actually. I wanted to bridge that gap. The gap was prevention. I didn't see people actually taking more proactive and preventive efforts. They were looking for the magic pill from their physicians. So I came to US to do my master's at UNC Chapel Hill, completed my master's, went to Emory to, again, preach to preventive health care, promote preventive health care.